I'm going to make a video on converting fractions to decimals, and this requires you to know a little bit about long division. So what we're going to do is this. I'm going to take my numerator and I'm going to divide it by my denominator, and when I do that I will be left with a decimal. And what that means here, let's erase this, is, well, let's see what happens. The way I like to do is I just draw a little division box right there, and then I put down my numerator inside, and I bring up my decimal. And so now you can see that I have 4 going into 3.00, so it's 3 divided by 4. How many times 4 go into 3? 0 times. How many times 4 go into 30? Well, the answer is 7 times. So 7 times 4 is 28. By the way, this is not the only method of doing this. 30 minus 28 gives me a remainder of 2. I bring down the 0. And now I say, how many times 4 go into 20? The answer is 5 times, and 20 minus 20 is 0. So 3/4 is equal to 0.75, or 75 hundredths. All right? That's important to know because it's actually that 5 is in the hundredths place. You know what? I probably should have done that. I should have done this instead. So this was 2, bring down the 0. That ended up being 2, 0, 0, 0, 0. Okay, now I'm going to do another one. 2/3. Now if I have 2/3, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to get 2.00. How many times 3 go into 2? The answer is 0. How many times 3 go into 20? Well, it's 6, which gives me 3 times 6 is 18. 2. I bring down my 0. How many times 3 go into 20? It's 6. I get 18. Bring down my... Oh, so I'm going to add a 0. Oh, wait a second. And you can see I keep getting the same thing over and over again. Now, because it starts repeating right away, right in the tens place, I'm going to say the answer is 2/3 is equal to 0 and 6/10 repeating. This is called a bar. All right, and it helps us indicate that it's repeating. So it's 6/10 with a bar, and what that means is it's repeating the 6's at in the tens position, which is why it's 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, etc., etc. All right. Now, what if we had a mixed number? The easiest thing to do would be just to kind of ignore that and say, what's 2/5 as a decimal? 5 goes into 0 times. 5 goes into 20 4 times. 4 times 20 is, 4 times 5 is 20. So 20 minus 20 is 0. And there's no remainder. So 2/5 is 0.4. So this would actually become, since the 1 was a whole number, I'm just going to leave this as 1 plus 0.4, which is 1.4. So 2/5, 1 and 2/5, I'm sorry, is equal to 1 and 1.4. Now, if I wanted, I could do this one other way. I could say, well, 1 whole is really 5 over 5, and 2/5 is 2 over 5. So 1 times 5 is 5, plus 2 is 7. So I really have 7/5. So 1 and 2/5 is really 7/5. Now watch what happens when I divide this. Oops, that's a mistake. I get 7.00. 5 goes into 7 once. That's different from every other time, but that's because my numerator is greater than my denominator. So 5 goes into 7 once. 1 times 5 is 5. 7 minus 5 is 2. I bring down the 0. 5 goes into 24 times. 4 times 5 is 20. I have no remainder. Bring down that 0. And there's nothing else to do. So you can see 7/5 is equal to 1.4. But that, you should say, makes sense because we already knew that. Now I want to show you one other way we can do this. Converting fractions to decimals. Well, if you can make the denominator equal to 100, you can very easily figure this out. Check this out. 4 over 20 Well, if I multiply by 5, 20 times 5 is 100. So if I do it to the denominator, I'm going to have to do it to the numerator. 4 times 5 is 20. So I get 20 out of 100. So here's my 20, but it's out of 100, so I had to put my my decimal so that I end up with the hundredths place. That's the hundredths place. This one is 9 out of 75, so this one's a little bit trickier. But there's a neat trick. Because I know something about 75, I'm going to say, well, can I make 75 into 100? And the answer is not yet. So if I divide by 3, I'm going to get 25. So I'm going to divide by 3, and I get 3. Now, I'm going to multiply by 4. And here, I'm going to multiply by 4. And I get 12 out of 100. So once again, I need 12 to be in the hundredths place. So this is the tenths place. And this is the hundredths place. And because it was 12 out of 100, it becomes 0.12. If you did 9 over 75 and you did it this way, 9.00, 75 goes into 9 0 times. 75 goes to 90 once. That's 75. That becomes 15. Bring down my 0. 75 goes to 150 twice. And there you go. So that's it. I hope this was useful. I hope you stopped and watched it and paused it when you needed to. Good luck.